Hello everyone that is joining. Okay, so let's get started. Hello, we have people from Bristol, Michigan, Sweden, from Finland, yes. And let's get started then. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is one more of our monthly webinars. BookBoost is a platform that is using hotels all over the world to use their guest data to create amazing experiences. And this time we are co-hosting this webinar with our partners from Ideas. And why? Because we are both very interested in using data. We are helping hotels around the world to do everything regarding data, to understand it and to handle better, to leverage data. So today we are going to talk about that, about how to be guest-centric and what strategies you can do with your data, data-driven strategies. And I have the pleasure of having four panelists today, three panelists actually, that are going to share valuable information with everyone. So I'm just going to start to quickly introduce them. We have Marcus, who's joining from Finland, from Hiisi Homes. So hi, Marcus, how are you?
Hello all. Thanks a lot for having me. It's a pleasure being here together with you guys. Yeah, I'm one of the founders of Hiisi Homes and Hotels. We operate short-term rentals and limited service hotels all around south of Finland. And looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. We're looking forward to all the insights you're going to share as well. Then we have Michael McCartan joining from Ideas. Hi, Michael, how are you?
Hi, Hannah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, great to be here. I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Also looking forward to hear your take on the topic. And then last but not least, we have Anna Rando from BookBoost. Hi, Anna.
Hey, Anna. Hey, everyone. And thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And I'm Anna, a passionate former hotelier, now at BookBoost, still passionate. But as Jana mentioned, at BookBoost, we provide a hospitality engagement platform to improve guest relationships, to increase marketing effectiveness, and to simplify processes. And we do this by offering a modern multi-channel CRM and a best-in-class unified image.
Great. Thank you, Anna, for sharing. So let's get started. The topic of today is how can we use data to put the guest at the center? What does it mean to be guest-centric? We are hearing this term more and more through social media, articles, websites, etc. But what does it really mean, and how can hospitality brands leverage this, right? That's what we are going to talk today. So before that, we are gonna launch a quick poll because we want to understand what are the main challenges regarding data that you guys have. What is it that you struggle with? So you are going to see a poll, and please take a few seconds to answer. It's very easy. So now you can see it in your screens. What is your main challenge when using guest data? First, I don't understand it. Second, the data is messy, unstructured, and not clean. Third, I don't know what to use it for. And the fourth one, even if I see it and understand it, I can't use it. Let's try to see a bit how are these opinions going. So I think one of the most popular ones so far is that the data is messy, unstructured, and not clean. Let's give it 10 more seconds and then we can have enough opinions. Okay, really interesting to see what people is thinking. Now we're gonna stop and you can see the results now. So this is what most people is voting for, and is that the data is messy and they don't really can read it because it's unorganized. That's really nice to know, but not a nice thing to experience. Okay, so thank you everyone for participating, and that only shows the importance of talking about this, of talking about why is data useful and how we can use it. So we are gonna start with the first question, and this one is for Marcus. So Marcus, you're here to share your experience from a property owner's point of view, a hotelier's point of view. So from your point of view, what are the main challenges regarding using data? Why is it so hard for hospitality brands to use it?
Yeah, I think it's very much related to the messy data that we had in the poll. I think that in general, easy access to data at the right time and right place. And given that these days we have multiple sources of data as well, so that is many times very tricky. And it also takes so much time to compile the data from different sources. And once you have the data, you would need also time to analyze the data, and more importantly, you would need to make it actionable for different shareholders. So many things on the way.
Yes, I hear you. So it's not just about the data like not being clean, but also that the data is coming from different sources, right? And then there is some extra work that needs to be done there as well.
Yeah, indeed. And I think that probably most hoteliers don't really have the resources to be able to gather and provide the data, and even to be able to provide it automatically to relevant stakeholders, and not even thinking about automating actions based on data. So why would there need to be a human doing the things that we should do, that the data is suggesting, or that we should actually be doing with the data?
Yes, I hear you. Thank you for sharing. And I wanted to take a moment to remind everyone that if you have any questions, please go ahead and use the Q&A function so we can also talk about those questions. And to our panelists, that if you want to intervene or everything, feel free to unmute yourself and just jump into the conversation. Thank you, Marcus, for sharing this. Okay, so now we're starting to get to understand a bit what are the challenges and why is it so difficult to start using data. But are we understanding what is the real power that data is bringing? And Anna, I want to get your opinions a bit on this. So what is the actual power behind data? And especially if you can guide us with real examples, what results can be achieved by using your data?
Yeah, for sure. I believe the power behind data sits in the accessibility of using it intelligently. And in short, giving an example, you can, for example, have a general communication approach, meaning you send the same message to everyone, or you can move towards a more hyper-personalized and targeting messaging approach based on specific interests, for example. By doing this, you will bring in more revenue and also increase guest satisfaction. So if we take an example, if you analyze your data and you can see that one of your services picks up very well among couples, for example, then you can segment a campaign where you target just them. And with access to enriched data, you can both segment and personalize. And the outcome of doing this will be, as I mentioned, more revenue, less effort, but also more time for other things, as you mentioned, Marcus, that is meaningful, for example, guest interactions.
Thank you, Anna. And I think that example is really valuable. We've used it a couple of times when we talk about why are you offering things to people that maybe they don't care about, right? When you send a business traveler an invitation to book a couple's massage or something like that, and then it's like, it's not relevant to them. So why would you communicate that when you can have a better chance communicating it to the right people? But first, as you mentioned, Anna, you need to understand who is what is the service that they want and who is these people that are actually going for that service, right? And that's what data is giving you. That's great. Thank you for the example.
Yeah, and exactly, Anna, you as a guest, you don't want to feel bombarded. You want to feel like they understand your specific needs. So the more targeted the communication is, the more likely you are to convert on it.
And you also have an idea as well, like you already start seeing what is converting best, like what is your most popular services, right? So then why maybe you can do some more profit there, you can modify, and Michael's going to talk a bit more about like pricing and all that part, but then it's just mixed up together, but you need to understand the data first to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If I may, we also get sometimes feedback from the guests that we send too much emails or whatever channel we use with the guest journey. And I think what that tells us is that we kind of haven't been able to personalize enough the messaging we send, because there's so much opportunities. And on top of my head, I believe that if or when we are able to personalize or hyper personalize the messaging to each individual guest, maybe that would be also the result, not getting feedback that, hey, you send me too much emails, but they would actually feel it, that they get a better service in the end.
Exactly. Like everything you sent was really valuable, right? And they appreciate it. Great. Thank you for sharing. And okay, so now we are talking a bit about why is it important to pay attention to data, but then what does it mean to actually being guest-centric? And from a technology perspective, what can we say that it means being guest-centric? And Michael, I think you can guide us through this a bit.
Yeah, sure. So for me, and a large part of my answer is going to be based on my own personal experience, but it's to be guest-centric is to understand and anticipate the needs of the guest and provide them with answers to their problems before they even experience the problem. And you need to do that in an integrated and seamless way. So the technology shouldn't be in the way, create another friction point in that guest journey. And you need to do this throughout the guest journey, from the time they're booking to the time they check out, by anticipating their needs, providing them solutions that allow them to address their particular concern, whether it's checking in or whether it's ordering room service or whatever the case may be. The technology needs to be in the background, not an intrusion, and valuable. But it's also important that the technology works hand in hand with humans as well. So if at some point, or if there's a guest preference that they don't want the technology to deliver a particular purpose, that there is a seamless transition to a human. And I think that the technology advances are allowing us to achieve more of that integrated service. And I think I read a stat recently that something like 62% of all travelers prefer to work with a chatbot now, provided that chatbot is relevant and provides them with good answers. And if the chatbot gets to the end of its limitations, that there's a human to step in seamlessly to continue the conversation. So for me, it's all about reducing friction points, not adding an extra burden on the guest, and really understanding what the guest is looking for and serving them at the time that they need to be served.
Johanna, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That always happens, right, to someone in the webinar. Thank you for letting me know. So I fully resonate with that, Michael. And I was just reminding that we had a webinar in January with Ruby Hotels. And they were actually, like Tobias Holler, a consultant today, he was mentioning about the new personalization is exactly what you mentioned, anticipating to the guest needs, more than just like, yeah, putting their name in the email, right? Or like sending a card on their birthday or something. It's actually anticipating to their needs. So really interesting, that point of view.
Just on the point of over communication, I think a recent experience, I stayed in a hotel. It was a small independent hotel last weekend, and they over communicated. I received too much information. I didn't read it all. And part of that, the information that they sent me was how to check in. I arrived at this place late at night, not having read how to check in. And when I was in the dark, literally in the dark, fumbling around trying to work out how to get into my room. I think if that communication had been delivered to me at the moment of need, i.e. when I was just about to arrive, my experience would have been much better.
Definite. Were you able to check in at the end? Did you find?
Eventually, yeah, but it was
Yeah.
with some complication.
But yes, okay, so now we are getting a bit more into the topic, and now we know, okay, what exactly means to be guest-centric. We have some examples. We also have some examples of what, of the power of data. And now, Marcus, let's go back to you and go back to how you guys at Hiisi, how are you using data to actually personalize the experience?
Oh, well, simple examples are that, for example, for the personalizing the guest journey, one can do that by so many data points, by channel or company guest or individual. And yeah, the list is almost endless, you know, when thinking of different data points as discussed earlier. It could be even related to the birthday or whatever. And like Michael said, I instantly started thinking, how could we enable the arrival info to be sent at the time the guest is actually close to the property? So I don't know, would we then need some kind of I don't know what technology would allow us, you know, if I am like 100 meters away from the property, then I would get the arrival info that I need with the channel used that I prefer. So that would be a very interesting case that would also benefit our business a lot, to be able to make sure the arrival info is there when the guest actually needs it.
It sounds like tracking and chasing, and we need to make sure it's GDPR compliant, but I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, proximity technology is there, and I think it's just utilizing that, and yeah, obviously with the right permissions. But yeah, it really amazing, and I think most guests would actually welcome that level of intervention, shall we say? You know, I'm happy to provide my personal details when I know I'm going to get an enhanced service.
And it actually seems like a pleasant surprise. We always talk about how providing these kind of surprises can increase the satisfaction that we get from guests, right? So imagine you're about to get to the property and suddenly the message like, hey, this is how you check in. I'm guessing that would leave most of guests like satisfied, like, oh, that's a great service. Great. I like these examples. I hope someone is taking notes, right, of whatever they want to apply on their guest journeys. And now let's continue. So Anna, as we've established already, putting the guest at the center means that you are relying on your guest data to make decisions, basically. So in this sense, how does a CRM complements your efforts and helps you to reach a guest-centric approach?
Yeah, great question. I think your data is like a gold mine, a treasure chest. But the limitation I hear from hoteliers today is that their data sits in different silos, not where the systems are not interfacing each other. So the question about having control and access to data is very relevant to also understand how important it is to have a CDP, a customer data platform, and a CRM for data management. And let me elaborate a little bit on this. Data has to be accessible, clean, structured, and easy to use. If not, you won't be able to act upon it. But this is when a CRM comes into place. So for example, if you use BookBoost multi-channel CRM, it has a CDP in its core, and that cleans your data, it organizes it, eliminates duplicates, and etc. So your data is easy to understand and easy to use. This means you can create campaigns, you can segment, you can create guest journeys, and so on. So basically, to answer your question, Jonna, the CRM will help you to get a good overview and to save time. and it will drive guest satisfaction and also grow revenue. And I personally believe that the future of hospitality lies in capitalizing from the smart use of data.
Thank you. I think the use of data we're definitely seeing, and we are going to continue seeing this more and more, because people is just starting to realize the power of using their own data, actually. So I agree with you on that. I think it's definitely not even the future, but it's already the present, and it will continue to develop on that. Okay, so now we're going to continue a bit on the topic of data, but this time we know that you can use data in different departments, right? And so, Michael, a big one where definitely data is present is revenue management. So how can data-driven revenue management strategies be used to personalize the guest experience without sacrificing profitability, which I think is one big concern right now?
Yeah, so if you look at revenue management, there are really sort of three components to it. One is call it time. It's how long are people staying for? They're 1 night, 2 night, 3 night length of stay. So length of stay is a component when it comes to revenue management, and being able to balance and understand how much 1 night business do I take versus 2 night, 3 night length stay business to maximize the revenue opportunity. So that's the one component. The other component is the space. We've traditionally looked at rooms only, but now we're having to start looking at other spaces in the hotels because it's spa, restaurant, room, meeting space. All of these things add another dimension to the revenue management challenge. And the third component is the traveler, the people. And at the intersection of those three segments or components of revenue management is the holy grail, and to really optimize effectively and get the most valuable guests staying at the times when you need them, utilizing the space that you need them to utilize, it's Tetris on steroids. You're having to juggle all of these different components, all of these dimensions, to come up with the optimal mix of length of stay, space utilization, and guest utilization, and it's impossible for a human to do all of those calculations. And that's where the frontier of revenue management sits, is understanding and solving the complexity of that. And if you can do it correctly, then you're going to get the most valuable guests utilizing the maximum number of facilities on property, staying for the longest period of time, and that ultimately drives top line revenue. It's a complex problem, and a problem that can't be solved by humans alone. There's just too many dimensions, too much data to consume, understanding what data is relevant. So even if you have the right data, some data doesn't apply all of the time. So you have to have intelligence, you call it AI, to determine what data to use at what time, and it's constantly changing to really come up with the optimal mix of those three dimensions. But I agree 100% with Anna. If you can use that data effectively and you can target the right guests at the right time, it'll be the most profitable business guest for your business.
Exactly. And then you won't be sacrificing any profitability. On the contrary, you're going to be like getting as much as you can because you're leveraging all these factors.
Yeah, and just on the profitability side of things, obviously, when it comes to the space side of things, the cost is a huge factor there. You know, the costs of your restaurant, costs of your space, or the costs of it not being used. So it doesn't just become about revenue management, it becomes about profitability management. So yes, in solving that problem, you're actually solving the profitability problem as well. So by understanding your costs of, a guest that stays for 1 night, it's going to cost you more than a guest that stays for 7 nights, because you don't have to change over your rooms and all that. There are efficiencies. And so when you start factoring into the cost of servicing that guest in their rooms at the restaurants and things like that, you and understand that guest, what they're looking for and their willingness to pay, it really drives the profitability equation more than the revenue equation.
It's a really good point, Michael. I agree.
Yes, I agree as well. And it's really, I think we all know that you can use data in different departments, but it's really good that we have these exact examples so we can really dig in how data is actually makes sense for the entire property in every department, and you can leverage it for every department. So
Well, I
agree.
think, sorry, just to add to that, I think one of the challenges we've had, and Anna will know this as well, but it's that we haven't been able to merge marketing and revenue management. They've sort of been two separate silos. But the merger of marketing and revenue management, is going to help the hotel identify where there's soft periods, where do I need guests, because and then understanding what guests are most likely to book that, and then you can feed that into the marketing system and saying, I'm looking for this profile of guest on these particular dates, and I know that this kind of guest likes this offer, they like breakfast included, whatever. So you can tailor your marketing, and so that drives hyper personalization that's going to convert in the periods of most need. So it's very exciting, and we're not too far away from achieving that.
And also, Michael, for the guest, it's gonna be looked upon as perceived good service, because they get the message with a good offer that they can take action on right, hopefully, when they need and want it. So when you manage to hyper personalize and really specifically target that group or the people, then that is when they will feel it as good service, but you can convert it into revenue growth.
Definitely. What a great exchange of opinions. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's continue a bit then. Now, Marcus, let's talk a bit about how do we measure like all these. We're talking about how you are using data at Hiisi, but how do you measure the impact now of your marketing efforts on guest personalization and overall satisfaction? Like, what KPIs do you use, for example?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And frankly speaking, this is probably an area where we would have the most room for development. We are not there yet. We don't have perfect KPIs to track the marketing efforts here. We do have a reputation management system that we use, and as a basic thing, we collect feedback from all departing guests automatically, and that's probably the most important data that we analyze, the overall guest satisfaction and all the different parts related to that. So in terms of KPIs, in our guest survey, we do have questions related to different areas, like things related to the guest journey in general, the communications, overall satisfaction, and yeah, when it comes to the KPIs, probably the NPS is one of the key KPIs that we track and monitor, and then of course we do have different scores available for the different areas, like arrival, instructions, cleanliness, and so on. So the KPIs currently are more related to the guest satisfaction, and the marketing part is still in the work.
Understood. And just to add to that, so you're asking these different questions and then getting the info from the guest. And what is your process after that? Like, how do you use that information, or what do you do with that information?
Well, we do have a person in charge that is responsible for kind of managing our reputation and the guest satisfaction, including both the kind of post-marketing to the guests, so replying to the reviews and feedbacks. But important is also to analyze the data and provide the data internally for our team members, that they can use the data, and in the end that we can develop our processes and the overall guest satisfaction. And of course there's also different partners related, because we do not do everything in-house. There's cleaning partner, maintenance partner, whatnot. So it's a quite complex overall that we need to take into account and share the information so that we can all develop together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And let's continue now. Anna, one more question here is regarding, let's stay a little bit on the topic of marketing. Now we're talking about being guest-centric, so we can definitely talk about guest-centric marketing. But is there any space where this type of marketing and automation can work together? And can you give examples of how would this be?
Sure. And first, I would like to shake the bottle a little bit and let us all rethink, because I believe facing potential fears of automation requires an understanding of the true purpose and potential. And by focusing on the relationship between technology and human interaction, hoteliers can for sure harness automation in many different ways. So to answer your question, how guest-centric marketing and automation can work together, the main point is to serve the guest, to put the guest at the center. And this means, for example, if a guest doesn't want to communicate via email, then change communication channel and communicate via SMS or WhatsApp, as just one example. And this is closely related to automation because you can create automatic workflows to support your targeted communication without manual handholding. And by this, you are still doing what is best for the guest, using the channels they prefer, sending out targeting and personalized messages, but without compromising your work and your time because you have incorporated automation. And I had an interesting conversation with a hotelier the other day, or he worked as a hotelier before, and now he works more as a consultant in the industry. And he shared, he said like this, I'm gonna quote him: as the industry continues to evolve, embracing automation with a strategic approach will be key to staying competitive and meeting the changing needs of the guest. And I think you've really nailed it there. That is what it is with automation and incorporated in your marketing strategy.
Yes, so we have one comment here. Can you say that quote one more time?
Okay, yeah, sure. It goes like this: as the industry continues to evolve, embracing automation with a strategic approach will be key to staying competitive and meeting the changing needs of the guest.
And I think that's a great point, because at the end, you're doing what the guest, like you're putting the guest at the center, but without, like, automation is helping you to do it without sacrificing your entire time. Because everyone in hospitality is just dealing with 1,000 things at the same time, right? Especially people, like, I would say in all the departments, to be honest. So yeah, of course, we want to do what's best for the guest, but also, sorry, I cannot spend my entire shift working on personalizing each message manually, right? Or setting myself the numbers for the rates and stuff like that. So I think automation is definitely helping to find this balance that you are talking about, Anna.
Yeah, maybe you can add there, like the one-to-one effort is not gonna pay off, but you can automate it and still send it as a one-to-one, but you don't need to invent the wheel every time. So when you profit from automation, you can create segmented campaigns and still hyper-personalize and target, but you do it in a sequence, you do it as a flow, and it's empowered by automation.
Thank you, Anna, for your opinion. I have one more question for Michael, so let's dive into that. So beyond room rates, Michael, what data insights can help hotels to create dynamic packages and offers that resonate with the individual guest preferences? Can we give some examples regarding that?
Yeah, so it goes back to a little bit what Anna's saying around the automation and using the right data to communicate with the right guest. And it's not just about guest communications, it's about offers and packages as well. And I think every revenue manager at every hotel at some point was tearing their hair out because the marketing department did a promotion for a period where there was 95% business on the books, and they go, what the hell are you doing? You've wasted all that marketing effort. All you're doing is sending cheap business to my hotel when I don't need it. The reality is what a revenue management system is sitting on tremendous insights, as I said earlier, around when there are lean periods of need. So, part of that automation is, it could apply for an individual hotel, but it can apply for a whole portfolio of hotels. You could just say, show me all of the need periods for my portfolio across my 6 different cities that I operate in, so that I know where I need to do something about that. So, getting those insights, going through all of that data and having those insights generated is a huge benefit in itself. It just saves a tremendous amount of time, and no human can analyze the information to that extent for days in advance. So that's great. But then once you've got that information, the revenue management system can then say, I know what type of guest is the business that we've got on the books is being booked by this profile of guests. So we need more of these types of customers. So don't just go and send general marketing out to everyone and hope that they're going to convert. We're seeing that our loyalty members are the most likely to book during this period. So let's do something to target the loyalty members. Or maybe it's a particular source market. Maybe it's Germans that are traveling. So let's go and target those. So now you know your lean period, you know the kind of guest, the profile of guest that is booking for that need period already. So let's go and find more of those guests. And then you do further segmentation, and you say, out of those guests, out of that target audience, I know that these are the preferences. These are business travelers, and this is what they're looking for. They want early check-ins and whatever. So let's put together promotions that target those people. So now you're going to the marketing organization and saying, very specifically, I need these types of guests with this promotion during this period of time, and your conversion rate is going to go through the roof. It's your opportunity to convert those guests is much greater. And the third piece of that puzzle is then to automate that and say, okay, rather than the revenue manager having to manually go and communicate this information to the marketeers, actually just automate it, integrate those systems. So the marketing system is already triggered to say, this is what you need to be sending out to these people at this period of time. And then the consequence of that is you can measure the effectiveness of that campaign, because you can see directly the marketing campaign went out. I then picked up X number of reservations during this period, and you can measure the success of that campaign. Now, all of that is achievable through a high degree of automation without much human intervention, if you have the right data and it's set up correctly.
Lovely example, honestly, of how everything can just integrate and then help to achieve the maximum goal, which I think is revenue for most, revenue and loyalty, right?
Yeah, sounds very much like a perfect world. I think I would say that we are pretty advanced with how we leverage technology, but this what Michael just described, that only confirms that there is a lot for improvement also for us and to work to be done in the future. So a lot of opportunities still to capitalize.
And I think the fear of embracing AI and technology is ebbing away, because the reality is, I saw a comment about pigs flying, but the reality is that the more we embrace artificial intelligence, the more opportunity we have to solve problems like this.
Definitely. I think we're moving forward. Like the fears at the beginning, you could see so many people saying like, no, automation is not for me, because they automatically assume that automation means getting rid of people, right? And like replacing people with tech and stuff, when nowadays we are just realizing that it's actually helping to empower people, and to get even farther. So I do see how things in the industry are shaping, and I think we're going on like a really good road towards leveraging more those new resources. So as Marcus mentions, it's like it's a huge opportunity. Maybe we're not there yet, right? But there is opportunity to keep improving as always.
And I think just to temper that, is that the limitations are probably access to the data, having the good clean data that we mentioned in the beginning, but also the systems integrations. It's an ecosystem. So no single technology can provide all of this solution, or that complete solution. It requires partnerships, and there's a responsibility on the technology community to actually do these integrations and remove these barriers. So, and again, I think we're much better positioned to do that than we were even 5 years ago.
Definitely, and I agree with the responsibility towards the technology vendors on like bringing down those barriers. Marcus, I have one more question for you, and this is what is a golden rule that you follow to ensure a guest-centric approach and at Hiisi? Can you share with us?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's good to know that we don't have any staff on site, so we don't have any reception. The guest process or the guest journey is pretty much self-service. And when it comes to our guest journey, we tend to say that we have mastered the guest journey of a single guest if after the stay, the guest feels like he or she has gotten great service with no single human interaction during the stay. And this we have made pretty much possible with the personalized guest messaging, versatile content. We have open help available for guests. We do have different kinds of online and offline content available for the guests. So I would say that in the end, to master our goal, one must be able to provide multi-channel content in different formats and to be able to answer the questions of the guests even before those arise. That's also what we touched upon earlier. So I think that's the key there, to provide the relevant content at the right time, at the right place, to the right guest. And then we have succeeded.
Lovely. Definitely being relevant in like as much as we can, right? Right content, the right guest at the right time. And we can even say it on the right channel. So we can just have all the rights in line. That's
Yes.
perfect. Thank you for sharing. Okay, with that question, we've actually reached the end of our session today, and it's been a truly pleasure to have you guys joining us and sharing all your perspectives and opinions on this topic that is so important. Thank you to all our attendees as well for this session. Now we know a bit more about why is it important to be guest-centric and why it's important to use our data and pay attention to it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.